This is the Hollywood Outsider, a weekly movie and TV podcast with a new episode every Thursday. And this week we're going to discuss upcoming releases, including 47 Ronin, Walter Mitty, and of course Justin Bieber's Believe. Our spoiler-free reviews of The Hobbit, The Desolation of Smaug, Anchorman 2, and Raze. And from the outside in topic this week, with the holidays upon us and everybody having all this free time, we're going to talk about what TV shows or movies we binge watch. Latest in movie and TV news as always, including our own trivia segments. That's going to be a little lighter this week. My name is Aaron Peterson. With me today are my fellow hosts, Scott Clark.
I don't know how to say this, but I'm kind of a big deal.
You're prepping? You're prepping for a little Anchorman action?
Yes, I got to wait till Saturday, but I'm anxious to hear your review.
I'm sure you are. I don't blame you. Brian Williams.
Merry Christmas, y'all.
Yeehaw. Is that how they say it down in the hollow?
Something like that. Yep.
Do they put lights up, or what's the requirements out there? They do anything a little different?
You can't do a whole lot because whenever you turn it on, the rest of the trailer park kind of dims. So they kind of frown upon that. But yeah, I mean, I've got the indoor-outdoor carpet / yard grass that's out front. It's got some pink flamingos. Santa Claus hats. Looks pretty good.
Do you really have pink flamingos?
Pink flamingo.
Come on, man.
Hey, I'm double checking.
Come on, man.
Just double checking, sir. And Justin McCumber.
I am not at all interested in your Anchorman 2 review because I'm mad I don't get to participate.
Yeah, Justin was supposed to have seen it, and he got busy.
He got busy.
He had personal stuff going on. He couldn't make it.
No, my wife was sick to her stomach, so no. Wow, wow, wow.
Way to kill it, Brian.
None of that anywhere near that. Just taking care of her, hoping that she gets feeling better.
Was any part of you going, come on, you're not that sick?
No. No, not when you.
You're
there's
better man than
something
me.
seen you cannot unsee. So.
Fair enough. Just so you guys know, this is our last regular show of the year. Next week we will have our best of the year, best of 2013 episode. So there is another one, and then after that we will have our compilation episode. But this is our last regular show, so if anybody wants to say goodbyes or kiss my asses, now's the time.
We have to do it right now?
Well, you don't have to do it right now.
I need to prepare a little more.
We can drop this bomb that Paul Rudd, according to Variety, because I refuse to take the hits anymore, Variety says that Paul Rudd is Ant-Man. Officially Ant-Man. Did you guys excited, happy, no surprise?
It's not who I would have thought of, but I'm okay with that.
It's one of those castings that you just kind of curl your nose up at, but they do such a good job with the tasking of directors and casting of actors and everything. This might be something that kind of splinters Paul Rudd's career off into something a little bit more. I don't know, maybe just kind of give him another facet. He kind of seems to be the same role in just about everything he plays. So maybe this will kind of be a kind of a, I don't know, springboard to a different part of his career.
A little less Sex Panther, a little more Leady Man.
He's just always that, I don't know, what's the one where he was like a hippie?
Oh, the Wanderlust.
Wanderlust,
yeah.
That was fun.
That was funny,
just kind of, I'm not saying it's bad, I'm just saying that's kind of what I always see him as.
I gotcha. Well, it'll be interesting. I had zero interest in Ant-Man other than maybe 2% because of Edgar Wright. But now you put Paul Rudd in it, I'm up to about 5. So I look forward to that. And one thing before we move on, Scott is doing a Child's Play thing, and we'll talk about it a little later in the show more in depth. But there is a link on the website. Go to thehollywoodoutsiders.com. You can quickly explain what it is.
It's a charity that provides toys and video games and movies for kids that are stuck in the hospital over the holidays. It's a really, really cool charity put on by the guys over at Penny Arcade. Really check it out. I hope you guys will help contribute. It's a really good charity.
And like I said, there's a link on the website, so check it out. But can we first discuss what makes a good teaser trailer? Because the Interstellar trailer came out, and I don't know what the hell it even was. I can't decide if it told me anything, if there's like secret clues in there, or if Chris Nolan is just slapping me in the face.
Here's what I know from that trailer. It involves space, and it has Matthew McConaughey. And it's done by Christopher Nolan. That's about all we got from that trailer.
He does drive a car.
He drives a car. Okay, yeah, that's fair. And looks
That's all I need.
And looks very morose while he's doing it. He just kind of,
Yeah. He doesn't look like a happy driver.
But
So
not-
is it Contact Part 2?
I hope so.
I don't.
But still, I am still on board for that movie. Just at Christopher Nolan and that the tone of his movies. I don't know what it is yet, but I am stoked to see that movie. I do kind of wish we got a little bit more information, but hey, it's a teaser. They can tease us with whatever they want.
I'm trying to find out what the definition of a teaser trailer really should be. I mean, shouldn't you give me something? Something.
Yeah.
Just a boner. That's kind of what a tease is, right?
Did you get a? You know what I'm saying?
Well, when I heard the reaction that there was just really nothing, I actually just said, "No, you know what? Then I don't need to see it. I'll wait till something meaty comes out."
Oh, you refuse to be teased? Is that what you're saying?
No, it's just why waste my time with a trailer that's not going to show me anything?
How did you know it didn't show anything before you saw it?
Interwebs.
Because I heard everybody online saying, "What is this? This is nothing."
See, that would make me just want to go see what everyone was talking about.
He's fighting the trend.
No, if the word had been positive, if they were like, "Oh, this is so cool and dark and mysterious" or something, then hell, I'd have been all over that like a duck on a June bug. But when everybody says there's nothing here, what is this? I'm like, all right, well, then they saved me the time and trouble of having to watch it. I'll wait till a full trailer hits.
I got to tell you, this is the one rare exception where it didn't get me more excited. I mean, Chris Nolan's done a lot of teaser trailers, and his are usually pretty interesting. And, of course, a lot of them are Batman, so you're generally more inclined to be excited. Mm-hmm. But I just didn't get anything out of it. I really was not excited. I didn't feel like I was teased. I just felt like I was tortured.
Well, I think the Godzilla one was a pretty good teaser.
Oh, that was excellent. Yeah.
It starts out kind of like like a Black Ops type movie or something or whatever. And you see these guys parachuting out, and then it's got some really cool imagery, some really cool scenes, and where the guys are falling with the red smoke trailing behind them, and then all of a sudden you see, oh shit, they're, it's Godzilla.
Right.
Of course, I don't know what these, half a dozen guys are going to do on the back of a giant lizard, but that's part of the tease, I guess.
I think a trailer like that, or a teaser like that, rather, works better for a film that's not a new property. That is something that's already established, like a sequel or something like that.
I agree with that.
When you have something that you have absolutely no idea what the premise of the movie even is, you're just basically saying, here's an idea. It almost looks like it was a pitch to make the movie, instead of an actual movie trailer.
Well, half the movie was just recapping our history. I felt like I was watching that Billy Joel video. we didn't start the fire. Yeah. Well, the Hobbit contest, we had our Hobbit contest on Facebook, and Doug Clayton, you won. Congratulations. You were the closest.
Yay.
So you win a copy of the Hobbit Blu-ray and a T-shirt. And David Billups, you were second, so you also will get a T-shirt. So
Yay.
Congratulations.
Now, is he getting the theatrical cut, or is he going to get the extended edition?
He's getting the theatrical cut.
Cheap.
Trust me.
Give him a good version.
Oh, it's excellent, David. Don't let him, or Doug.
Well,
David.
of course it's excellent, but he could get excellenter.
Or he might not want to hear more Hobbit songs. Maybe
And he's a fool, and he should not have
maybe
entered.
he wants to keep moving. Maybe he doesn't have 6 hours to hold.
You ain't a fan. That's
Really?
right, I said it.
We're going to do that one. You're not a
Yep.
fan if you're not willing to sit on your ass for 6 days.
Goddamn right.
Brian, you want to give us a fantasy football update?
Yeah, just for the record, the two of us are basically getting our asses kicked.
I'm already out. I'm in. There's 10 players. I'm 10th place.
Yeah, you were pretty much out. I think week 3. You were pretty much out really early. I have been in free fall about the last 3 or 4 weeks. But yeah, basically right now it's up to a couple of guys who are having some pretty good seasons. Philip Cruz and Don Munoz. So they are going head to head this week. The winner gets to review the movie of his choice. So good luck to both of those guys. And I don't know. I guess they'll get to pick their own movie later on.
Mm-hmm. So we
Now, is
work.
there going to be a sack off?
Oh, a what?
I'm sorry.
sack
Like
off?
from the league?
A
Yes.
sacco, you mean?
You mean?
Yeah, whatever.
Sack
You
off
mean like a
sounds
last
something
place
dirty.
trophy? If anybody gets it, it'd be me because I came in last. So I guess do whatever you want. Torture me.
I'd just rather kick you in the sack.
That's fine. You could do that.
It's a sack off.
All right,
Sack off, whatever.
movie news.
Shut up.
Last week we were talking about Terminators coming up with a new TV series. Well, now the new film's getting some traction because Game of Thrones' Emilia Clarke was just tapped as Sarah Connor for the reboot sequel, whatever it is, Terminator 5-ish.
So are they doing a show and a movie?
Yep.
Or is the show... What the fuck? How much Terminator do we need?
Apparently a lot.
Apparently a lot. But yeah, Emilia Clarke, who looks just as lovely, if not lovelier, with brown hair as she does with her normal platinum locks that you'd know her from in Game of Thrones, has been cast as Sarah Connor in Paramount Skydance's Terminator reboot. She tested for the part with several other ladies, but closed the deal. So she's going to have to start doing some pull-ups.
Yes, she is.
Maybe some chin-ups. Do a little working out, you know. Not that Sarah Connor was all that buff in the first film, so maybe they'll let her ease into it. But what really kind of sparked my interest is hearing that Alan Taylor, who directed Thor: The Dark World, is going to be directing this. And I thoroughly enjoyed The Dark World. So I'm really kind of pumped to see what he's going to be able to do. And I'm sure that he, since he was also a Game of Thrones director, has probably worked with Emilia Clarke before. So perhaps the familiarity there will help make it even better. But I got to say, I think we're headed into a Terminator overload. And I think we're going to have to send someone back in time to stop James Cameron from even starting it.
From even making him the first one to begin with.
Yes.
Well, and Schwarzenegger's going to be in it. That makes no sense. I mean, if you're going to do a reboot, just wipe the slate clean. You don't need him as part of it. And screw the fans. You already made The Salvation, and that only had kind of a Schwarzenegger in it.
Oh, that was on TV this week, and I watched just the tail end of it
I loathe that movie.
Oh,
Loathe it.
Oh, it just looks so
I'm John
bad.
Connor. I'm so sad. All the time. And the weird part is her son, John Connor, is rumored to be played by Jason Clarke.
Zero Dark 30.
Zero Dark 30.
So is that him in the future? Or did she pump out a kid at about the age of 2?
Yeah, I don't know how.
I was going to say, I thought this is the
Actually,
original.
younger. She would be negative. I'm pretty sure he's older than her.
She would have to come out the womb pregnant, birthing him as she's birthed.
I think she has to give birth in the time machine. That's the only way that this works.
And Arnold Schwarzenegger's set to come back. Who's he going to be playing?
Apparently.
Unless they're going to cover him up like the Hulk with CGI. I'm sorry, bro. You just ain't the Terminator no more. Time is a mean bitch. She whips us all.
Yeah, maybe he's going to do one of the cameos. He's going to be a cameo. Or he's the mad scientist. Maybe he'll be like Dr. Freeze again. And he could be the mad scientist who designs the actual Terminator.
You know how much money he made from that Batman movie?
I think it was like 40 or 50 million.
$40 million.
Just to say stupid lines.
Isn't that a crime? I mean, shouldn't he be arrested?
Joseph Gordon-Levitt is coming into his own. He just inked the deal to star and possibly direct DC Comics' Sandman. What is this, Brian? Because I know it's not Spider-Man Sandman.
No. He basically he's the personification of dreams. His name's Morpheus, Lord of Dreams, the Dream King, stuff like that. And basically he's kind of part of this group of these all powerful type of guys who have existed since the beginning of time. Neil Gaiman, I think I'm pronouncing it right. This is probably one of his he's a comic book writer. This is probably one of his marquee creations. Or I'm not even sure if he created it, but maybe kind of reinvented it, the character, because it is a character that goes back decades. But I think he really made this guy popular. But anyway, Joseph Gordon-Levitt, he actually pitched it. So, and he's wanting. I guess it's not real sure on how much of involvement he's going to have, whether acting, producing, directing, and so I don't know exactly how much of his involvement he's going to have, but he should be pretty involved with it. So, rumor is he's going to direct. So,
okay. I don't know what any of that means because I've never even heard of it. I mean, that sounds interesting, like intriguing. But It's just not a comic that's prominent with me, I guess. And it sounds like
welcome to my world.
Yeah, well, I'm not quite in your world, Chief.
Well, it's not big for you guys, but I do know that the Sandman series is incredibly beloved, and there are tons of fans out there. So this one's going to be under a whole lot of scrutiny by a whole lot of goth dudes.
All right, and guess what? Hollywood is going to do some more remakes and more adaptations, whatever you want to call them. Ed Helms is going to do a remake of The Naked Gun. Don't you dare. And Josh Gad, who was really good as the voice of Olaf in Frozen, he's going to do a film version of Gilligan's Island. Scott, either of these do anything for you? Just inside.
There's a whole lot of remakes, and it does kind of feel like when we see these that we're kind of scraping the barrel, so to speak, looking for ideas. But there are a lot of people upset, Justin being one of them. But I'm not really sure why to get so upset. I mean, for the Naked Gun movies, for instance, I never got into them. I saw Airplane, but I never watched any other the Nielsen stuff, and I would watch a remake over it before I'd go back and watch the original ones.
Okay, so you're saying as a not really younger, but an audience member that didn't really watch the originals,
right,
you would be into that.
Sure.
You would want to see that.
I mean, just because, I mean, things don't hold up for younger audiences as much as they used to. I mean, same goes for Gilligan's Island. I watched a couple episodes as a kid, but nowhere near like the entire series. I didn't watch it. I mean, that was even before my time. You know what I mean? So, and I don't think that if you showed that original series to a younger audience today, that it would work. I just don't think that kind of humor in that style would work today. So I think
no, because it would look like they turned Lost into a comedy.
Yeah, kind of, yeah. Plus,
it's the same concept. It's just a matter of how you know. It's kind of like
I don't even have to bring up Lost anymore. You guys do it for me.
I got it early.
And Brian did it. That's what's funny.
I don't even think Brian saw the show, but bam, he knows.
So Justin,
a bunch of people trapped on an island trying to get off.
Yep.
Off of the island, I should say.
Yeah.
Gilligan never had to fight a polar bear, though.
I don't know. I didn't see every episode. I'm sure it was in there somewhere.
How did that end? Did they wind up getting off the island, or
Gilligan's Island?
Yeah.
I don't know. Who gives
No,
a
but
shit?
when Fonzie was water, skiing off the coast of the island, that's where it really jumped the shark.
Didn't he bring the Harlem Globetrotters with him?
I believe he did.
Did you know that
Wait, what?
many people have never even seen the episode where Fonzie literally jumps the shark?
I heard he was wearing black leather. That's
And those socks.
Oh, sucks. Justin, why are you angry about this? Why do you care about Gilligan's Island, especially?
I don't care about Gilligan's Island or, really about The Naked Gun, even though I enjoyed it when I was a kid. It's just more, I think I have reached the point that a lot of other people reached years ago, where the notion of Hollywood once again dipping into that barrel of shit we already did, scraping up another, cup of muck and trying to turn that into entertainment. For the longest time, I never really had a problem with it, but it seems like every year they're doing more of them and more of them. And I'm just, there's so much better new material out there being generated either through games or through books, through comic books. Why not dip into a property that's yet to be put on a screen, either big or small, and bring that to the people? Why take something that already exists? I mean, maybe it's easier, maybe it's cheaper. Hollywood loves to make an easy buck, but I'm just, God damn. More and more, they're beating my head in.
I don't understand the concept of Gilligan's Island. Sitcoms do not make good movies, in my opinion. I've never understood trying to stretch
Bewitched, what's up?
Yeah, Bewitched
was
or anything
pretty
else.
bad.
I mean, what's next? MASH? Go ahead. Give it a shot. I just do not understand the concept. I've never seen it work, other than probably The Naked Gun. That was a TV show, and that became a decent feature film. But it was also the exact same
Squad,
people.
right, or something?
Yeah, it was Police Squad. But it was the exact same creators involved and da-da-da-da. My issue with The Naked Gun isn't so much being remade. It's that parodies are dead. And unless you have some kind of genius way to make this work, I really could care less than to see another parody. Mm-hmm. I'm just done with that genre. I just think it's one of those, every once in a while there's a genre that has run its course. That has run its course for me.
Is Naked Gun, when I think parody, I think like Scary Movie or
It's just like
Date
Airplane.
Movie.
It's Airplane with police detectives.
Yeah.
Is that a parody? That's
Yeah.
more of like just slapstick
No,
random
it's
nonsense.
a parody
humor.
of like police films. So
okay.
it's just done better than they do it now. Now they just take scenes from other movies and just recreate them. And, we made it funny.
Right.
Where they made an actual film with a storyline.
I will say I agree with you that the idea of Gilligan's Island, I think, works better as a television show because part of the appeal of that is that's the setting. That's why they're there for so long. And you have a 2-hour movie about them being stuck on an island. It doesn't feel like they were stuck on an island. I mean, granted, they did it with Castaway. That made you really feel like he was there. But
I like the volleyball.
That took a lot of that. The unique thing about that was that there was barely any talking for about 45 minutes to an hour of that movie. That really made the isolation feel that way. You're not going to do that with a comedy.
It's never funny seeing a guy starve.
Yeah.
Okay, well, we got to finish this because we've had this discussion every year, but I think we should finally put it to a vote and decide. Is Die Hard a Christmas movie? And whether it is or isn't, what makes a Christmas movie? But let's do a vote first. Is Die Hard a Christmas movie? Scott, yes or no?
No.
Brian, yes or no?
Hell yeah.
Me, yes. Justin?
No.
So we have a tie? This is bullshit. Scott, you did that on purpose. All right.
You think I purposely agree with Justin?
Touche.
Hey, God. Why is everybody shitting on me today?
Welcome to my world.
Everybody. It was just Scott. Okay, so you guys don't think it's a Christmas movie. I can pretty easily explain Brian and I's position, which is if it happens at Christmas time, I can put it in the category of Christmas movie. Is that kind of where you find yourself, Brian?
Yes.
Okay, because the plot does revolve a lot around Christmas. The Christmas party, the whole thing's Christmas time. Hell, they got Christmas music in the
the
credits.
whole setting of the movie is Christmas.
Yeah. I mean, ho, ho,
the limo
ho.
driver's wearing a freaking Santa Claus hat.
I have a machine gun. Ho, ho, ho. You don't do that on Valentine's Day, I don't think. So, Scott, Justin, you go first because I know you're the most impassioned on this. Why do you consider it not a Christmas movie?
Because for me, a Christmas movie has to be, the element of Christmas has to be one of the central drivers of the movie. And as I've said many times, Die Hard could have been taking place over a New Year's Eve party. It could have been a 4th of July. It could have been Yakatomi Tower's anniversary. There's no reason that Christmas is the driving element of this movie. Sure, there's lots of Christmas elements. Sure, the hats, the ho-ho-hos, the music. But Christmas isn't inherent to the plot. In a Christmas story, you take Christmas out, well, you don't only not have a title, but you don't have a movie. For me, the big popular Christmas movies all take place in Christmas for a specific reason. And Christmas is tightly woven into every aspect of that movie. I don't consider Die Hard Christmas because it's not intrinsic. It just happens to be a setting. And for me, Christmas has to be more than just a tableau.
I agree. To me, a Christmas movie is one that the primary focus is on the holiday itself. That's like the theme of the movie. You know, just the fact that it actually takes place there, to me, doesn't make it a Christmas movie. There's no Christmas. There's not the same kind of Christmas spirit. It's a completely unrelated story that happens to take place during the holiday. We're arguing about something that seems like a silly
We're
argument.
not arguing.
Anyway.
Not yet.
Well, we're having a
Until you
discussion
make
about
another dumb point.
we're having a discussion about something that is silly. It's, you know, I'm not gonna watch Die Hard around the holidays, just around the holidays. I would watch that movie any time of the year, but I'm not gonna watch a Christmas movie any time of the year.
Well, that's just because Die Hard's better than A Christmas Story. That's all.
Well, his point being is that Die Hard works no matter what time of year you watch it. But a lot of Christmas movies work better around Christmas time because it's tying into all the things you're seeing around you already.
Right.
Brian, rebuttal?
I don't know. There's something that I don't care about all this other big word bullshit. It just feels good. It just feels right to watch it at Christmas time. That makes sense to me. That's why I watch it. If it took place at the 4th of July, they had fireworks coming off the top of Nakatomi Plaza, then I might break it out around July 2nd or 3rd and watch it with an Independence Day, like make it a marathon afternoon or something. But I don't. It happens during Christmas time. It feels like Christmas. The whole thing just reeks of Christmas. I watch it at Christmas time. That's all I care about. it's one of the 3 or 4 movies that I do watch. So, suck it.
There you go.
Is that eloquent enough?
Yep, I concur.
Is that eloquent?
It was very eloquent. Okay, and we're not going to do Trailer Park this week. We're keeping this episode a little shorter. But
We'll see about that.
yeah, we'll see if you don't ruin it. But there were so many trailers. I mean, there were a lot of trailers, and you can go to the website. We put them all on one post. They're all there. But there was Edge of Tomorrow, 22 Jump Street. I'm sorry, Dawn of the Planet of the Apes, Welcome to Yesterday, 3 Days to Kill, Grand Piano, and I think a couple other ones that I forgot to mention. So, just real quickly, what was your favorite trailer that you saw this week? Because it's holiday season, so they're throwing everything out at once. What was your favorite and why? Justin, you can go first.
I liked Edge of Tomorrow.
The Tom Cruise.
I've never been ashamed of my Tom Cruise fandom. It's a science fiction movie. It's got time travel in it, sort of. It's Starship Troopers meets Groundhog Day. There was really nothing about that trailer that didn't excite me and make me really, really, really want to see this movie.
Okay.
I'm actually really excited to see Grand Piano. That's the one that just came out of nowhere for me. It looks like...
See Elijah Wood.
Elijah Wood is a piano player. It's basically phone booth in a theater. Is really what the movie is. He's got somebody in his ears. John Cusack is in his ear, basically telling him to do this and do that, or he's going to shoot his family, that kind of thing. And it looks intriguing. It's something I'm interested in seeing.
Yeah, I'm going pretty shallow here. I'm going Dawn of the Planet of the Apes.
Did you squee?
A little bit. I mean, the opening, he kind of opens up with that speech going on, and it felt like a really good. Well, I mean, it's a minute and a half. It's hard to call it a minute and a half trailer, a teaser, but that's essentially what they're calling it. But it just what a really good movie or teaser to kind of set the tone there. So
yeah, like a real teaser.
Right.
That's not a shallow pick at all, Brian. I clicked on that trailer and I was not looking forward to it. I had no interest. And I saw Gary Oldman, and by the end of the trailer, I was ready to go. This made me want to go rewatch the first one again, just to get prepped for it.
I saw no Franco anywhere in that trailer.
Oh, thank God.
Yeah.
Why? He's doing everything now. He might as well just pop in. He might be the ape now. Who knows?
He should stick to comedy.
Did you get, in your Edge of Tomorrow one, Justin, did you get a little tinge of Elysium?
Well, that's that outfit that I think is what really does it. It's such an industrial kind of bare bones power suit that he's wearing that is really reminiscent of what, fuck me in the... God.
I will pass.
No, yes, thank you.
Well, all right, step aside. I got this.
The guy, I cannot remember his name, and y'all always say it terribly every time. Matt Damon. That Matt Damon was wearing in Elysium. I think that's what kind of harkens to that other movie.
Well, I did like Kevin Costner in 3 Days to Kill. I think it's good to see him in a leading man again. But Welcome to Yesterday is one that blew me away. Not blew me away, but took me by surprise. Never heard of this movie. Here. These kids building a time machine, and then time gets screwed up. It just looks like something interesting. It reminded me a lot of the first Final Destination, and kind of like a mix of that and the Butterfly Effect. So I'm really interested to see where that movie goes. It just seems really clever.
Well, it looks like Chronicle with time travel. I think the only thing I'm a little leery of is the found footage aspect. I kind of wonder if that's meant to help or if it might end up hindering the end result. But yeah, it actually does look pretty cool.
It didn't look like the whole movie was found footage, though, did it? I mean, unless I'm missing
some of it actually didn't. And when I got to the end of it and read a little bit about it, and they were putting it in the found footage category, because some scenes were, but then like you said, some scenes kind of didn't. So I don't know. Maybe it's not found footage so much as just that shaky cam kind of thing, but still it looks pretty cool.
All right, we'll find out. You can watch the trailers at thehollywoodoutsiders.com. If you got a thought or a topic idea for next year, email us to feedback at thehollywoodoutsiders.com. Leave us a message or text us at 818-81-AMAHO. That's 818-814-6246. Like us on Facebook at facebook.com/thehollywoodoutsiders or tweet us at @H_outsider. Time for the big screen, guys. We saw 3 movies this week. The first one is Anchorman 2. Now, Justin was supposed to have seen this with me, but he sucks. So, or he's a good husband, whatever you want to see it as. I see it my way, you see it your way. So I'm going solo. Everyone's favorite news anchor is back in Anchorman 2. Will Ferrell returns as Ron Burgundy. He's given the chance to anchor at the first 24-hour news station, the Global News Network. You see that? GNN? Get it? Ron gathers up the rest of the gang, including Paul Rudd and Steve Carell. They head to New York. The whole plan, get rich and famous. So Ron gets desperate since he gets stuck with a 2 a.m. slot and decides to completely skip the real news and only do stories on American patriots, cute animals, and car chases. Which sounds exactly like you would expect. Because if you're an American, you know we love this shit. And Ron and crew become an overnight sensation because people love car chases and animal stories. And I think his sign-off is you stay American or something stupid like that. The movie also throws in a black female station manager in the form of Megan Good, who I love her, as well as a jealous fellow anchor played by James Marsden. If you want to know if Anchorman 2 is as funny as the first movie, that's really what everybody wants to know, right, Scott? That's what you want to know?
Yeah.
The first 90 minutes, I actually think is funnier than the original movie.
Really?
Yeah, the first 90 minutes, with the exception of a more tasteless than clever interracial dinner scene. The one you saw in the trailer, I just thought they handled it really tasteless. But outside of that, these guys are hilarious. Farrell commits wholeheartedly to this idiot, and his jokes hit a lot more often than they did in the first one, in my opinion. The first 90 minutes. The last half hour I'll get to. Even when they're talking about his 7-year-old son Walter, which I thought was going to be a real dragging point to the story, it ended up being pretty funny. Steve Carell, dude, is perfect as Brick. I don't know. He should just play Brick in every movie for the rest of his life, as far as I'm concerned. They should do Brick the movie, the idiot weatherman, and he finally gets a love interest in Kristen Wiig. Those two make perfect idiots together. They don't get nearly enough screen time, but every time you see them, they are hysterical. But the biggest problem I have is the last 30 minutes. You remember in the original, you guys remember in the original where they had that weird Anchorman fight near the end?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, they up that, and this ending goes even more off the deep end. Just
More cameos.
Just absolutely ridiculous. And it's one of those where, now, when that fight happened in the first movie, I actually stopped in my seat and went, what? I just didn't find it that funny, but parts, it was all right. It was kind of cute. And in this one, I literally stopped in my chair, turned over to my wife and said, what the hell just happened? Because this movie was fantastic until this point. It's one of those things where it just wasn't funny, and sometimes the studio needs to get involved and stop Farrell and director Adam McKay from themselves, because reel them in. I think they just tried to put everything in this last 30 minutes, and it just didn't work as much. But if you're a fan of the original, there's enough good here to not really be disappointed. I really had a fun time. I was able to overlook most of that. It just really took a movie that was about 8.5 and knocked it down to a 6.50 for me. Still liked it though. There are some funny ass jokes in this movie, and very inappropriate humor. It is not meant for families or children.
Is it pushing the PG-13 or?
Oh yeah, it's pushing it.
Really?
And just, I mean, like when he meets Linda Jackson, who's the black station manager, and all he can say is black, black, black. I have to say it or I'll pass out. That is hysterical. And he's probably one of the few comedians who could get away with that, to be perfectly honest. But all right, The Hobbit, An Unexpected Journey. Brian, Justin, and Scott saw it. Justin, what is it about?
Yeah, well, it's this little tiny film. I'm pretty sure nobody's heard it, and it only takes like a half
It's an
an
independent
hour.
movie, right?
Yeah, I think so. I think it was Kickstartered. That's how they got the money for it.
That's a big Kickstarter, Chief.
Yeah, well, The Hobbit, The Desolation of Smaug is, of course, a sequel to The Hobbit, An Unexpected Journey, where our hero Bilbo Baggins is dragged into the company of a group of dwarves named Thorin, Balin, Dwalin, Bifur, Boffer, Bomber, Feely, Keely, Owen, Glowin, Nori, Dory, and Ori
And
to help
Rudolph.
them. Huh?
And Rudolph.
Yes, and a partridge in a pear tree to help them take back their home from the dragon Smaug. And when we left the first film, they had been saved from the orcs and were standing atop a beautiful hilltop, and off in the distance there was the mountain waiting for them to get there. And in this film, in the Desolation of Smaug, we get a little backstory, but then it jumps right into the action. Peter Jackson, of course, directed it, was one of the writers with Fran Walsh and Philippa Bowens. Guys, I think that's just about enough on that. What did you guys think on the story on this? I know that there are a lot of people out there who feel that all of these Hobbit films are excessive, that they're far too long and involved. Are you guys of the same feeling, or do you think that the way the story is delivered in this movie is just right?
I'm kind of torn a little bit because I do, as I sat in the theater, I did feel myself wanting to look at my watch a little bit a couple times, but I don't know what could be removed or trimmed. I mean, everything in the story seemed relevant to the story to me, which is weird because I've read the book. This is the one I didn't read any of the Lord of the Rings, but I did read The Hobbit, and I don't remember much of this at all. I remember some things from the first one. I don't know how they stretched it out this much, but everything in there seems very important to the story to me. I don't know. What do you think, Brian?
There's actually kind of a good reason for that. I don't know how much was created, but I know the little three-way love story thing with, I don't know, Feely or Keely, one of the dwarves,
Keely.
and
It's with
Legolas, and
Keely.
and the girl elf.
Toriel.
L'Oreal,
Freckles. Whatever. We call her Freckles.
L'Oreal?
You know, but anyway, it was created. I know Peter Jackson created that for the movie. That was not in the books. So I don't know what else he created. But this, I don't know, to me, this is just something that, you know, if you're stretching a movie to be put into three, you know, instead of just doing the two that were originally planned and you're having to stretch it to fill 3 movies, this is to me something that, I don't know, you take this out and you kind of do what you can to cram it into 2, I think. But I don't know, overall, I mean, it was, you know, still worked. It just, one of those things to where if you got to do that, if you got to create stuff to add to it, you probably should have stuck with 2, but that's probably getting ahead of ourselves.
Well, in my written review that I did for this film, you know, one of the things I talked about is that when Tolkien originally wrote The Hobbit, he had in mind one book, one small book written for kids, and that was it. And so that was the book that he wrote. But when he wrote The Lord of the Rings, he took that small world and expanded it with all of these new characters and events, but things that took place in The Hobbit, he suddenly gives names to, or he adds to things. And so it kind of creates a problem. And he went on to do even more of that with the Silmarillion. I could certainly sympathize with the problem that Peter Jackson had. But for me, I am such a huge fan of his films and these Middle Earth movies that I'm okay with excessiveness because I'm so just in that world, and I could, you know, as I always do, I watch the extended editions because I love getting sucked into it and just being given a feast of a film as opposed to just a really tasty bite. And that's what I think Peter Jackson brings. And I can totally understand why some people hate it. Believe me, I do. But for me, I don't. It's just a bunch of Nami goodness, and I'm in it for as long as he wants to make it.
Justin, how did you feel about leaving the end of the second film on a cliffhanger?
Oh my God. Well, that ending, everybody in the theater was no, because unlike the first film, you know, where it ends with them just looking off at Erebor in the distance and then a nice little fade out, this film just, you know, drops a huge mess in your lap. That is definitely tough. Now,
Yeah.
you know, in this movie, they did have more characters that joined the cast of regulars. Orlando Bloom was back as Legolas, Evangeline Lilly as Turiel, and Lee Pace as Thranduil, just being a few of them. Oh, and let me address the Turiel thing. That is one of the few things that Peter Jackson did create out of whole cloth. That character didn't exist, I don't believe, in any of the books. But I think the reason he did it is because Tolkien he wasn't a fan of chicks, it seems like. And outside of Galadriel and a little bit of Arwen, there just aren't a lot of female characters that these books have, especially strong, capable, powerful female figures. And I think that, he knew that he needed to add in a little bit of that feminine element. And so why not create this elven, guard who's a wonderful warrior, swordswoman, and just have her be at play with because this is a sausage fest. So I kind of don't mind that he created a female character to add some of that back into the movie. But anyway, new characters, new acting brought into the mix. What did you guys think of the acting overall on this one?
I don't know. It just felt like everybody belonged there in a way. Although Legolas looked kind of odd. I don't know if it's just he's aged or what, but nobody really kind of, I don't know. I guess I was drawn to Evangeline Lilly's character the whole time. Mm-hmm. I think she's a really good actress. I think she kind of gets compared to Kate Beckinsale quite a bit. Not saying she doesn't deserve so, but I just, I don't know. I just kind of think I really liked her character. So however much of it was created or embellished, whatever the case is, I really don't care because she was really compelling to me.
I agree with you on Evangeline Lilly. I'm just happy to see her in film again. I don't remember the last thing I saw her in, actually. She's really cute, and she did a really good job with the performance as well. I wasn't familiar with the character because apparently she wasn't there, like you guys were saying. So, everybody else, Martin Freeman and Ian McKellen, could you really get better casting than those two for Bilbo and Gandalf? They just seem like they were made for those roles. But we got that in the last film too.
Did you guys think Bilbo was more in the background in this movie?
I didn't.
Maybe, but
I just
I
feel
guess
like
because he had that whole scene with Smaug that gave him a lot of screen time.
Mm-hmm. The first movie was more of a build-up because it was called Unexpected Journey, and he wasn't supposed to go. So the first one was strictly about him. I understand the book is called The Hobbit.
Yeah, I think it's all about him, really.
But there's a whole lot more characters.
It's a good question actually, because really around the second half of it, the Luke Goss character,
Bard,
it kind of focused on him and the dwarves and stuff quite a bit. And not to say that he wasn't important, of course. When he interacts with Smaug, it's really primarily about him, about Bilbo. But no, it's a good question. I didn't really even think about that so much, but it does kind of seem to change the focus a little bit. Maybe not so directly on Bilbo, but have him more in the background.
I never really noticed it, I guess, because everything that was happening was so engrossing that to me it didn't matter if one character wasn't in there. It was all working on all cylinders. Now, as far as the production quality, these films have always been beautiful to look at, and whether it's CG or physical, they do an amazing job in Peter Jackson's direction. What did you guys think? Did you think Smaug worked? Did you think the world looked as good as he'd wanted?
I think the world looks just as incredible as any of the other films. It really feels like a completely different universe than what we've got here. It really good. The costumes and everything look incredible. I think that Smaug looked good, but not great. Really? I can't really put my finger. You know what? I don't think it's that he looked bad. I think he looked great, but for me, something about the meshing of what he looked like and the voice that they created using Benedict Cumberbatch's voice felt off to me. Like it looked like there's no way that voice would come out of that. Obviously we don't have talking dragons in real life, but it
says you.
It was something that I was constantly in the back of my head, like that I was thinking about, not because I wanted to. It just I couldn't stop thinking.
What kind of voice would you think is more appropriate?
I don't.
Samuel L. Jackson.
You and my gold, motherfucker.
It almost felt like I wish they would have done a little less effect on his voice, because I think Benedict Cumberbatch has an amazing voice, amazing speaking voice, but it felt almost overproduced in.
A little T-Pain auto-tune action going on.
Hello.
Why are you
Not
in
that
my
bad.
dragon chamber?
I'm complaining more than I'm really bothered by it. I'm just
I personally thought Smaug looked fantastic. I watched it in 3D. For me, this is one of the few movies where 3D actually adds to the movie. Especially the scenes with Smaug, because his head, he's kind of looking for Bilbo, what have you. The fire's coming out, that kind of stuff. It's not so much that it is all in your face, but it is the depth of it, I guess, and it really kind of adds a little bit more perspective to it. And there are a few scenes throughout the movie that are pretty neat. The scene with the bees was pretty cool. A few others, but especially in 3D, I thought Smaug was fantastic. I thought he looked great. Of course, I'm an unabashed Benedict Cumberbatch fan, so I may be a little bit biased there.
Yeah, I mean, I think Peter Jackson, this is the 5th film that he's done in this universe. The motherfucker's got it down. Weta has got it down. It's just firing on every cylinder, and it's doing it fantastic. I accidentally, when I went to go see it, wandered into the high frame rate version, and I hated it more than I did the first time. Luckily, all of the other theaters around that one had it in 2D than the regular frame rate, so I slipped out of that one and into another, didn't miss a beat, and got to watch the film the way I wanted to. Peter, please, no more high frame rate. Just make it stop.
I've got people trying to convince me that it's good. I'm like, I saw it the first time. I can't imagine it got better. And
It's terrible.
You're saying it got worse?
Because it is a play. It looks like a fucking play. I don't want to see a play. Everything that's CG just doesn't fit.
Fair enough.
I hate it. Please stop it. So that's it, guys. Hobbit, An Unexpected Journey.
No.
I'm sorry. This is the Desolation. Thanks, Aaron. You set me up to fail. You set me up to fucking fail. The Hobbit, The Desolation of Smaug. What do you guys give it? Brian?
8.5.
Scotty?
$8.
I'm giving it a solid 10. This is right in my wheelhouse. I loved it from beginning to end. I could not have been happier with it.
Excellente. And Brian and I saw a movie called Raze. And you won't have seen this yet. It comes out in January. But Raze is a film directed by Josh Waller, and it stars Zoe Bell. You might remember her from Death Proof. And she's also a very accomplished stuntwoman. But she stars as Sabrina. Sabrina's this woman that's been trapped in cages along with 50 other women in this vicious battle royale fight to the death. Their loved ones apparently will die if they do not compete. So the fight basically boils down to one person is going to be left standing. Whoever wins, whoever is the only one standing, gets to walk out alive. Now, Brian, the story seems very simple, but what did you think about it? Did you think it was a little bit more layered than it sounds like?
I don't know. I think it pretty much is. I know. It was one of those. I just kind of took it face value. I didn't look a little too deep into it. But I really enjoyed it. I mean, I really liked. There was something about, you see these movies. I mean, it's where you see these movies that is, you have a handful of combatants, and of course they're whittled down throughout the end, and then to the final battle at the end. But it really does go beyond that. It's not just person A wins and then yay, everything is happy ending, everybody rides off into the sunset like that should, all that kind of stuff. But I like the fact that you do have the battle, but then it does go past it.
Mm-hmm. And you do get to know the women, a few of the women in detail. I mean, Rachel Nichols is in it, Tracy Toms. There's a few other women actresses you might know in the movie.
Yeah,
and
apparently even Rosario Dawson's in it, and it totally slipped by me.
If she's there, I didn't notice her, but she's supposedly in the credits. Maybe there's another actress named Rosario Dawson. Who knows?
Maybe.
And the fighting is completely R-rated. It is not PG-13. It is not women that are highly sexualized. I mean, these are women beating each other to an absolute pulp. I mean, just to a pulp. But it's
very, very visceral.
Yeah, and even though they know that they're going to have to fight each other to the death, you do get conversations between them. You do get the sense that some of them care about each other, or have come to care about each other, or care about their plight at the very least. You know what I mean? So I think that helps to you actually caring what happens to him instead of it being like a Mortal Kombat for women, so to speak. Now, what do you think about the acting in terms of Zoe Bell and some of the other actresses in here?
Well, I personally I'm a fan of Zoe Bell. I think she's her entrance into movies, being a stunt woman is she's, I guess, touted as pretty much the best one out there at this time. I mean, but lately, the last 5 to 10 years, she's been getting bigger and bigger roles in movies, especially thanks to people like Quentin Tarantino. So I've grown to be a fan of hers. But really, there was a really nice dynamic with all the different characters that were being used as far as the combatants. You had from every range. You had one or two that were just total type A personality, aggressive. I don't give a shit. You're next. Mm-hmm. To the really ultra, type Z. I mean, really passive. So there was also with all the, like I say, there was a couple that really kind of cared about some of the others. Mm-hmm. There was even an interesting, it's not much of a plot spoiler, but there is one that had a really interesting kind of a sacrifice.
Yeah, there's that,
which was an interesting kind of little wrinkle there.
And there's different styles because there's women that try psychological tricks. I mean, oh no, you can have this one, or I'm weak, or whatever the situations are. I mean, they're trying to win, and they do it by whatever means is necessary. Is how it feels. Now, what do you think about the direction? Because this is a movie where it's, it is low budget, but it's dark. It's very claustrophobic in terms of scope. The fighting is very visceral. It's very in your face. I think it's extremely realistic. How did you think about it?
Yeah, as far as the fighting goes, like I say, it was very violent, but it wasn't very gory. If that makes sense. I mean, you really got the sense that that the fighting was really going on. Mm-hmm. But there wasn't a whole lot of unnecessary gore. There was, there are a lot of cringe-worthy moments, but it wasn't a whole lot of just blatant, unnecessary gore.
Well, personally, Josh Waller really impressed the crap out of me. This is a director I want to keep an eye on because the way that he shoots the fights, I thought were fantastic. They're very vicious, very brutal, very horrific in terms of, I felt every hit, it felt like. And there's not many action movies where I do because it's so choreographed and everything else anymore. I mean, you go see a Jason Statham movie, I have no interest or feeling in terms of how the fight's going to go because I know how it's going to end. These, I really didn't know who's going to win. And then you get toward the end when you kind of see where the story is headed. And there are several encounters in that one where the fighting was on par with Kill Bill in terms of intensity, in my opinion. So, I mean, where I'm just sitting on the edge of my seat like, oh, kill that motherfucker, like that. And, you're just waiting for it, just punch the shit in, and then it happened, and you're just, elated and excited. Love that. The only thing that I had a problem with was, and this is literally a movie I was in love with until the last 2 minutes of the movie.
2 minutes?
Literally, and Brian can back me up on this. The last 2 minutes, and we're not going to spoil anything, but the last 2 minutes, it's going to be a love it or hate it ending. Love it or dislike it. I didn't like the way that they chose to end it. But up until that moment, I really loved the movie. It's just, the way they went wasn't my particular choice.
So it kind of misted you?
Yeah, a little bit.
No. I wouldn't put it in that category.
Yeah, well, that's true because it wasn't awesome. I'm sorry. Yeah.
Yeah. First, but it wasn't. I would agree with you. I won't really say much more about it, but I agree with you. It's definitely a kind of a love it or not like it type of thing. I'm leaning more towards a not like it, but the rest of the movie is totally engaging. And you mentioned the fact that you're not really sure what's going to happen with each fight. And they do a fantastic job at the very beginning of kind of setting that expectation.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they do. Yeah.
And the one fight that really stands out to me, Phoebe versus Cody, was almost like a lion circling its prey. It was just very intense. What kind of score would you give it?
If $10 is full price of admission, I give it $7.50. I really liked it. Really liked it. I
got to echo that. I'd give it a $7.50 myself. It was very entertaining. Definitely one of the better surprises this year. So liked it.
All right. Now, let's go to box office. Guess what? The Rock is the number one box office star in the world with $1.3 billion worldwide this year. How awesome is that? Except Robert Downey Jr. is number two, and all he had was one movie.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, Rock, before you pop the cork in that champagne, you should probably look that you were in about 47 films this year. I'm just saying. I'm just saying. You know, I know he could, kill me with just looking at me, but you should probably take that into account, sir. The Hobbit: Desolation of Smaug opened at 73.6 million. It actually opened about 13% lower than Unexpected Journey. Some people said that Unexpected Journey wasn't really, it didn't settle well with moviegoers as much as the original series, so there's a little bit of drop off, but worldwide it's making up for it, so I'm sure it'll be fine. And Frozen, number two, 22.5 million, 164 million, headed toward 200 million.
That's a lot of singing.
That's a lot of singing. Let it go. Tyler Perry's A Medea Christmas bombed. 16 million bucks. Aha.
Well, it probably cost $1 million to make, so that's probably good money.
That's true. That's a 200,000%
That's right.
return on investment. Hunger Games: Catching Fire, 13.6 million for 357 million. It's still headed toward 400 million. Thor: The Dark World, 2.8 million for 198 million total.
Man, the Hunger Games, it could hit $1 billion.
It's they say it's going to stop short, probably about 800 million worldwide, but we'll see.
That's not bad.
No, I think Jennifer Lawrence will be okay.
Folks, we have got 6 movies that we're going to be talking about, so we're going to try and hit these quick. As the kids would say, hit it and quit it. First up, 47 Ronin. A band of samurai set out to avenge the death and dishonor of their master at the hands of a ruthless shogun. Directed by Carl Wrench, who's really directed nothing of note. Stars Keanu Reeves, Hiroyuki Sanada, and Ko Shibasaki. Guys, what do you think? Toss it off to you, Brian, because I think of all 4 of us, you're probably in this wheelhouse as much as me.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Especially, really kind of especially a bit building off of The Man of Tai Chi. I know this is a different type of movie, but it really kind of seems pretty close to what he's just recently done. Mm-hmm. Trailer looks fantastic. Lots of mystical martial arts stuff going on. I love anything with a samurai in it. You can just about count me in. Keanu looks awesome in this. Sign me up.
What about you, Aaron?
I want to see it, but I'm not really pumped for it. It just
All right, Scotty, what do you think?
Yeah.
Anyway,
Edit that out later,
if I can finish my thought, it doesn't look like anything I haven't seen before. So it looks okay. And Keanu Reeves is just not a big selling point to me anymore. I mean, if this 15 years ago, woohoo, but not really anymore.
Yeah, you're right. It looks like nothing you've ever seen before. Scott, what you think?
I actually feel the same as Aaron. It's one that I do.
All right, Justin, appreciate that. What we got next?
All right, we've got Justin Bieber's Believe. How did they not call it Believe? How did that get past? Because all of his fans are called Beliebers, right?
That's true.
Jesus. This is a backstage and onstage look at Justin Bieber during his rise to superstardom, directed by John Chu, who most of you guys will probably recognize from the Fast and Furious films.
No,
am I right? I'm pulling that out of my ass completely.
Justin Lin, you're
right.
You're thinking
he
of
did
John Chu did G.I. Joe
Retaliation.
Retaliation.
Would you fucking let me do this?
Well, if you did it right, I would.
Why don't you back up?
Why don't you get your facts straight the first time?
I think he did the Fast and the Furious movie.
So, this is directed by John Chu, who directed G.I. Joe Retaliation. He also did Justin Bieber's Never Say Never. So apparently they're two guys who just formed a friendship. But he also did Step Up 3D and Step Up 2. So yeah, there you go. Is anybody here at all interested? I know that there are probably listeners whose daughters might be interested. So someone speak for them. Aaron, you are so good at being the female voice on the show. Mm-hmm. Tell me what's great about this.
Well, he's kind of a punk ass. So, I mean, if you're into paying money and feeding his coffers, then go pay his punk ass some more.
I don't get it. Were there that many unanswered questions from the first one?
Not a one. Not a one. I don't know what they thought was necessary to make
the
this
kid's
happen.
like 12. How much documentary can you have?
He made the last one made like 50 or 60 million or 100 million worldwide or something. They believed.
They believed.
I could care less. I hope this movie tanks. I hope his career tanks. I hope he's doing an 8-ball off a hooker in 5 years. That's what I hope.
He said he's retiring.
Oh, he needs to retire. He's such a jackass.
He's retiring?
That's what he said.
If you've got $20 million, you could probably retire, Scott.
Or
100 million, whatever he's got.
But
he's probably got a little bit more than 20.
Yeah.
And I wish I could say I didn't like him.
He's probably got 20 million in his pocket.
Yeah, I wish I could say I didn't like him just because of
That's just walking around money.
his
Bus
music.
fare.
It's just because he's an asshole. The kid's an asshole. Everything he does, he just seems like a jerk.
yeah.
In every country he goes to, he pisses off the people, tagging shit and everything. Oh,
Yeah.
I cannot stand this motherfucker.
Like there's some
All
young.
I know is the motherfucker looks like Vanilla Ice did about 25 fucking years ago. So I got nothing for him.
Does that mean he's going to be sanding decks in 15 years on a reality show?
In about 15 years working with the Amish.
Nobody cares. I mean, I'm sure somebody listening cares, and if you're a fan, please explain.
I'm not knocking someone for being a fan of the
I will.
music.
I will.
personally don't
I
like
I
it.
will.
I
I will
personally don't
judge
like
you
the music.
harshly.
But like you said, it's outside of his music are the things that bug me about him. He just looks like a tool.
He does.
Like a young
Well, actually, not
tool.
his music is fine. I have no issue with it. Some of his music is actually catchy. I get it. It's him as a person that I think sucks.
That's the thing is he actually is a talented musician, talented performer. I'm not a fan of his music, but just and I don't know. Maybe I'm only seeing the bad things about what he does in
Get
public.
off my lawn.
No, I mean like with the Anne Frank thing and the Chicago Blackhawks thing, and just everywhere he goes, he's pissing somebody off and glorying in it. It seems like
He's all spectacle and little else.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's all his career is based on, is some not terrible singing, but backed up by industrial light and magic level of spectacle.
Mm-hmm.
But you also got to remember, this kid got famous really quick, really young. I mean, there's something to be said. He doesn't know any better. He hasn't.
Oh,
really-
fuck him.
He's
he
a
does not
douchebag.
get to have
That's a whole lot of
I don't
big
know
words to
any
say he's a
better.
douchebag.
I've always
got-
been rich and famous.
He's got affluenza. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, affluenza. Fuck him. Let's move on. Grudge Match, directed by Peter Segal and written by Tim Kelleher and Rodney Rothman. A pair of aging boxing rivals are coaxed out of retirement to fight one final bout 30 years too fucking late. Starring Robert De Niro, Sylvester Stallone, and wow, they pulled her out of mothballs, Kim Basinger.
Wow.
Scotty, Grudge Match, do you want to see two old men pummel each other?
Is it sad that I'm more interested to see the banter between Alan Arkin and
Kevin Hart.
than the actual story of this movie?
No, that's fine.
This is Scream's DVD to me.
I really want to see it. I think it looks great. Sorry. I love both these guys, even though I know how the fight's got to end. And if it doesn't end with Stallone winning and basically De Niro crying on the ground, it's totally wrong.
Covering his head, saying, please stop.
Yeah.
Please stop.
He should be holding him like Ichabod Crane. He should be holding the head in his hand, saying, yeah, well, this didn't work out well. But I want to see it, absolutely.
Brian, any thoughts?
Yeah, I'm really kind of torn, to be honest with you, because I was pleasantly surprised by the trailer. It's one of the first movies that Kevin Hart actually draws me in, wanting to see this. But on the other side, it really does look like a wait for Redbox or cable type of movie. So, and with all the other stuff that's coming out at the same time, chances are I'll probably miss it. But if it was a little bit smaller weekend, I probably would check it out.
I think if the boxers had been physically looking more evenly matched, I might have been interested. But this just looks like a two-hit fight. One, Robert De Niro getting punched in the face and then him hitting the floor.
Mm-hmm.
There's no, unless he has got pixie dust in his gloves,
He might.
there's no way he's going to win this fight. So I've got no interest in seeing this movie. To me, there seems to be no sense of mystery. Who's going to win this one?
I can tell you who better win. That's all I'm saying.
All right. Well, next one up. The Secret Life of Walter Mitty, directed by Ben Stiller, writers Stephen Kennard and James Thurber. A daydreamer escapes his anonymous life by disappearing into a world of fantasies filled with heroism, romance, and action. When his job, along with that of his co-worker, are threatened, he takes action in the real world, embarking on a global journey that turns into an adventure more extraordinary than anything he could have ever imagined.
Aww.
Now, Brian, when you're selling your furniture, do you go deep into your head and go into some imaginary world where the couches are ships and you're sailing off to Theseus or something?
Yeah, I do. And it's a really cool place to be there until the customer walks in and I'm standing on the edge of a couch like Leo DiCaprio on the bow of Titanic. And
good visual.
It's a really hard thing to explain. So I kind of got to watch that.
Especially when, are you in front of somebody or behind somebody?
Are your pants
It just
on?
depends. It just depends, really. There are times, where I've grabbed a customer who happened to be in there and just held her in front of me. And
I'll never let go.
yeah, it just, luckily she was either single or her husband wasn't with her. So I didn't get the ass whooping I probably deserved.
And I'm sure you deserve a few.
Oh, absolutely.
But do you care to see this film?
I do. The neat special effects with this looks intriguing, and this is based on a book, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm, again, obviously I didn't read it.
Well, it's based on a short story.
Oh, okay. I was kind of intrigued with the first time I saw the little teaser trailer for it a few months back, and it's still my interest kind of held up to this day. So definitely, yeah, I'm interested.
This is one of those rare occurrences where no matter how many times I see this trailer, I want to see it more and more every time. I don't get tired of it. I cannot wait to see this movie. It's right in my wheelhouse. I cannot wait. I'm stoked.
I think it's trying too hard to be whimsical. And I actually like Ben Stiller's direction, his directorial work. I do think is actually pretty good. If you look at his older work, when he was actually trying to be artistic. What's that? No,
Cable
not
Guy?
Cable Guy. Reality Bites, I think, is a great movie. I think he is very talented. And I think he actually can be a very good actor before he got stuck doing all the shtick that he's been doing the last decade.
Mm-hmm.
He did Tropic Thunder. He was his direction, too. So he has talent. Everything about the trailer seems trying too hard to be whimsical, to be Spike Jonze, to be unique.
Spike Jonze.
Yeah, the director, Spike Jonze.
Oh, okay.
And it just isn't working for me. It just looks like been there, done that. I'm not interested. Sorry.
Yeah, I mean, he's just about covered it for me. It's trying way too hard. It is reaching for my heartstrings and yanking the shit out of them.
Yeah.
I don't appreciate that.
Let go of my heartstrings.
Be delicate. Be subtle.
I think
And
barely
this is just
beats
beating
as
me
it
over
is.
the head with, this is touching, motherfucker.
He's gonna experience life.
Yeah, bitch.
All right, Jesse.
Okay. The Wolf of Wall Street, Martin Scorsese joint, based on the true story of Jordan Belfort, from his rise to a wealthy stockbroker living the high life to his fall, involving crime, corruption, and the federal government, starring Leonardo DiCaprio, John Favreau, Jonah Hill, Matthew McConaughey, Spike Jonze, as Aaron just mentioned his name. What do you think? Aaron, you want to be a Wolf of Wall Street?
You know what I find interesting about this movie is that according to Leonardo DiCaprio and Martin Scorsese both, they say the trailer selling this as like a party kind of film and is not even remotely close to what the movie is. They keep referring to it as Caligula for a modern age. Now, if you saw Caligula, you know how fucked up a comparison that is.
That's wow.
Yeah, that's like orgies and shit.
For those of us that have not seen Caligula, what is the premise of that?
All right, let me give you this. Let me just give you this little piece, Scott. There's a scene where 4 or 5 guys are jerking off into a bowl where Caligula's wife is using the solution as facial cream.
Wait, what?
Yeah, that just happened.
That's like Bukkake from once removed.
And it starred Helen Mirren.
Yep.
Yeah, just saying. The Helen Mirren. So it's an art film. Trust me, they all refer to it as art film. That thing is like minor league porn.
Yeah, it's all art until you get a fist up the ass.
So they are referring to this, both of them. I've heard them both say this in interviews. I've seen both of them, personally seen it. They refer to it as Caligula. So that being the case, I don't really know what to expect anymore. And now I am far more interested just because I want to see what the hell they're talking about. I don't like that it's 3 hours though. It's a 3 hour freaking movie. I thought we were past that. You know, unless you have a Hobbit, I don't want to see a 3 hour movie.
Or a dragon, you know.
Or dragon. That's true. Or dragon. So I do want to see it. I'm going to wait for reviews though. I am going to approach it cautiously.
I'm almost as excited to see this one as I am Walter Mitty.
Hey, you might see 2 movies in a week.
I know. Well, yeah, I'll have plenty of time. Martin Scorsese, Leonardo DiCaprio. I Departed is one of those movies that I never get tired of watching. I'm hoping that it's that caliber of performances and interest. I didn't know it was 3 hours until you just said that, so that makes me a little nervous. But especially the intrigue of how messed up this movie might be, it makes me want to check it out even more. So I'm stoked.
If they're saying that the trailer does not properly represent the movie, then I'm a little more interested because the movie I keep seeing in these trailers is nothing I want to see. It holds nothing for me. But the idea of it being a lot more subversive and dark in its nature does kind of appeal. But even so, for me, this is very much a rental. I do not need to get into a theater and see this one. I'd rather spend this 3 hours going back to Middle Earth, bopping around on the river in a barrel.
I personally like Scorsese movies, especially when it involves crime and stuff. I don't care. Give me 3 hours. I'll take the Caligula-esque, gamble, and I'll probably give it a shot.
Scorsese for me is so hit and miss. For every Goodfellas, I get, Hugo, which I didn't like, or Shutter Island, which I didn't think was all that great either. So he's got some fantastic films, and then he's got the occasional clunker. Last up on our list, we're not going to be recording another episode in time for this one, so we're going to shoot this in January 3rd, Paranormal Activity, The Marked Ones. Written and directed by Christopher Landon. After being marked, Jesse begins to be pursued by mysterious forces while his family and friends try to save him. It stars Andrew Jacobs, Molly Ephraim, a bunch of people you've probably never seen before. It's a horror movie in July. Aaron, tell me this is not a bad sign.
January.
January. Fuck me.
Yeah.
January.
I was like, we're taking a couple weeks break, but good
We
Lord.
will be back before July, folks.
Apparently Justin's not so sure. He's like, sabbatical? What? I think it looks... I do want to see it. Probably mostly because I feel like I've been cheated out of my Paranormal Activity fix this year, so I definitely want to go back.
I feel you.
Yeah, I'll be there for sure. I'm not expecting to. I don't know. 4 kind of burned me a little bit, and there's no way I'm going to not see this in the theater. I just kind of wish it were a different time of year.
But I do say if it's coming out January 3rd, that's one of the worst times to release a movie, so they're not really confident in it.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm not as keen on the PA franchise as you guys are, but it does intrigue me. So I'm curious to kind of see where they do spin off the franchise. So yeah, sounds good. That's about really all I got. So
it's more than I got. It's Paranormal Activity. I've enjoyed all 4. I'll be in it for this one, so I'll definitely be in a theater. All right, guys. After talking about 6 motherfucking films, 47 Ronin, Justin Bieber's Believe, Grudge Match, The Secret Life of Walter Mitty, The Wolf of Wall Street, and Paranormal Activity, The Marked Ones. Which one are you guys most likely and excited to see in theaters? Brian?
47 Ronin.
Scotty?
Walter Mitty.
Aaron?
Grudge Match. Yeah, I said it.
Oh, Jesus. It's like 2 weeks in a row where you're fucking wrong. 47 Ronin. We win.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, you haven't seen it yet.
Was really the other 2 really didn't count. So
no.
Obviously mine and Justin's were the only ones that counted. So it's a clean sweep.
So we're bringing, once again, we're bringing the logic. We're bringing the brains, the smarts, the good picks.
Hey,
and
guys,
the good looks.
You can
That's
shut up. You can listen and subscribe on iTunes, your Stitcher Radio app, or through our RSS feed at thehollywoodoutsider.com. There's a new episode every Thursday, as well as we just had a comic book spin-off episode. So if you can go find that. That was released a couple days ago. So if you want to hear some more, me and Justin, because we were talking about comic books, we had a guest. So definitely go check that out.
What's this movie?
What's this movie? Each week we play ours or a listener-suggested clip from a movie. And if you think you know what the clip is, you email us at feedback@thehollywoodoutsider.com. Tweet us or Facebook us the answer, and we'll mention you on the next Hollywood Outsider. Last week's answer, it was Scott's choice, and it was Glengarry Glen Ross. Great clip, Scott. People actually knew it.
Always be closing.
Always. ABCs, man.
It was hard to pick a 30-second clip from that scene, too.
You picked well. And those that got it correct, Sean McDonald, Doug Clayton, Sean McGuire, Chuck Anderson, Mr. Anderson, and Dream Girl. She didn't leave a name. She just goes by Dream Girl. So send us pics. Just kidding. we appreciate it. We appreciate. Nice job, guys. And this week a listener sent in their clip. It's from Doug Clayton. So if you think you know what this clip is, email us. Now, it'll be a couple weeks before we do that show, but we will give you the shout out when we get it. Here you go.
Speaking of horses, did you ever see those Lippinzahner stallions?
What?
From Portugal. The Lippinzahner stallions. Most highly trained horses in the world. They're all white.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. You're aware they're all white, or yes, sir? You've seen them.
Yes, sir, I've seen them. Yes, sir, I'm aware that they're all white. They're not from Portugal, they're from Spain. And at birth, they're not white. They're black. Sir.
All right, let's move to the couch. We're talking about TV and home video news. We're going to keep this one short. ABC picked up a new Stephen King series, Grand Central. What the hell is that, Justin?
Well, the series is coming from the writers of the TV show Haven that airs on Syfy, Sam Ernst and Jim Dunn. And according to the report, it's a potential summer straight-to-series order, and they're describing it as a character-driven procedural with a supernatural twist. But they get into specifics and saying that the story centers on a woman who gets a phone call from her husband who died in a plane crash 2 days prior, and he warns her of an impending tragedy and saves her life. Apparently, Under the Dome and Haven have done as well or better than people have been hoping for. I have yet to see either one. I am so far behind on TV, it's ridiculous. But it's going to be coming to ABC. It's based on a short story. It sounds like a really interesting premise, so I would like to, I'd like to see it.
I liked Under the Dome. I thought the ending was a little weak, but it's definitely a show that I really got into, and I think Stephen King does lend himself to television, so I'm always interested in see what comes new from him.
Under the Dome was one of the biggest fucking TV ripoffs this freaking season.
Wow, why are you so angry?
Because it was obviously supposed to finish up this season.
Yeah.
And the way they ended it was so crappy that it was just like, oh my God, this is actually doing pretty well for us. Let's pull a Peter Jackson and stretch this motherfucker out.
I would.
And the way it ended, honestly, because I wasn't watching it live or on DVR. I was catching up. I was watching it on Amazon Prime, so I'd let 1 or 2 weeks go by, watch the past couple episodes, and then all of a sudden I realized this was it. I mean, I actually had to look up and make sure this was the last episode, that there was no more coming this summer. So it just felt, I don't know. I just feel like it's kind of being stretched out. I didn't read the book. I don't know how much they're watering it down, but it just feels like there was a whole lot of filler just to kind of get to the end where they could kind of cut it off and then pick it up next season, where they probably should have wrapped it up this season.
That's
luckily this is being handled by the guys over at Haven, which I have not seen, but I've heard some pretty good things about it, and it's supposed to premiere in the summer of 2014.
And Justin, real quick, you saw Day of the Doctor. How was the ultimate Doctor Who reunion?
Oh, it was fucking awesome. I wished I hadn't waited to take so long to download it from iTunes, but I did, and it was incredible. If you are a Doctor Who fan and you have not seen this, you need to see it, because you don't get just one doctor. You don't get just two. You don't even get just three. Wait till the end of the film or the telemovie. It is insane. And it is the best looking episode, or whatever you want to call it, of Doctor Who I've ever seen. The direction is so tight. Special effects are incredible. There is nothing about this, The Day of the Doctor, that left me wanting or that disappointed. It is fantastic.
Well, all right. Well, I saw
Watch it.
something better. I saw Psych the musical. Yeah, I said it. If you're new to this show, then you would not know that Psych is probably my favorite show on television. Why, you ask? Because it's genius, and it makes me laugh and smile inside. But when I heard that they were going to do a musical, I got a little fearful because I've only seen that work one time, and that was Buffy the Vampire Slayer. So, still, I heard some good things. They premiered it at Comic-Con. It got great reviews. I'm like, you know what? Maybe this thing doesn't suck. Well, what it's about is Sean and Gus, if you've ever seen this show, that's the white guy and the black guy. They commonly refer to themselves as that. They come together to solve a case of a convicted murderer who has escaped the sanitarium, and he's trying to exact revenge on those that have wronged him, of course. And he does it with song. So I smiled from ear to ear the entire time. Some of the songs are absolutely ridiculous. Some of them are hysterical. I love the way that this show handles, especially racial humor, because they do it so jokingly and like it's nothing. Like the whole point of the play that's involved in this, because the guy's a playwright, it's called Ripper. It takes place in 1888, and one of the characters, Dule Hill, who plays Gus, is African American, and he wants to be in the play, but they don't want any African Americans because there was apparently none in 1888, and so he comes up with the character of what if he's Jamaican. And he's trying to sell it throughout the entire show about, what about Inspector Jamaican Man? And it's just the way that little shit plays out. And if you've ever seen this show, you know what I'm talking about. It's a blast. I was extremely excited for it by the time it finally aired. And also a little panicked. Turns out, great endeavor. I would actually buy the soundtrack. Just like Buffy. I would actually put it on par with the Buffy musical. So, completely shocked. I did not think the show lended itself to a musical, and it worked. Now let's go to DVD and Blu-ray, Scotty.
We've got several different releases for a couple different weeks because obviously we're going to be on hiatus for a couple weeks till we come back. So first off, we've got December 24th, Christmas Eve, Insidious Chapter 2. Aaron reviewed this on episode 110, gave it a $5.50. On New Year's Eve, we've got Don John, which Aaron and I both reviewed on episode 112. Aaron gave it a $5, and I gave it $8. Also, Hell Baby, which was a new one for me. This basically sounds like the comedy version of The Devil's Due. And I'm not joking about that.
Yep.
It stars Rob Corddry and Leslie Bibb. If you remember her, she was the reporter-ish person from the Iron Man movies.
Okay.
January 7th, we've got Closed Circuit. A high-profile terrorism case unexpectedly binds together two ex-lovers on the defense team, testing the limits of their loyalties and placing their lives in jeopardy. It stars Eric Bana. Pretty low-rated. Not real interested. And then lastly, on the 7th also is Runner Runner. That's the Justin Timberlake, Ben Affleck, Gemma Arterton movie. Basically, Justin Timberlake loses badly at online poker, confronts Ben Affleck, starts working for him. Shit goes bad.
Can we just call him Batman every time we refer to him? No matter
Batman.
what it is. And by the way, did you hear that they hired Chris Terrio, that wrote Argo, to rewrite Batman versus Superman?
Really?
Yeah, that just came out. Chris Terrio, who won an Oscar for Argo, they hired him to rewrite it. So there's a chance the Batman versus Superman could be fantastic now. Now I'm sold.
So does that mean Ben Affleck's going to have that awesome 70s haircut?
I hope so. He was like, Batman, go fuck yourself.
I don't know how you could fit that in the cowl. You need like a helmet.
The thing would be elevated. It just looks like a fro cowl.
Like Kid and Play.
Oh, that would be great. I like it. All right, now let's go to From the Outside In. Our topic this week, binge. The holidays are upon us, which means a lot of us are going to be off. Some of us will be off a lot more than others.
Yes, we will.
Justin will just call it Tuesday. But Brian and I will still be working most of the time. But some of you will have a lot of free time. And some of us use that time to catch up on TV shows, movies we missed, and we're going to binge watch some of our old favorites. So let's talk about our binge habits. So we've all done it, right? Everybody here has had that time where they've had a few days off, weeks off, and they just watch way too much crap. You started watching a show, you barrel through it, sometimes an entire season. Why are we so lazy?
I don't think it's a matter of laziness.
It sure feels like I'm lazy.
Well, yeah, but it's
That's
you
you.
know, yeah. I mean, there's only so much yard work you can do. There's only depending on whether it's before or after Christmas. You may not have. There's not a whole lot to do once Christmas morning is over. So you have an extended weekend, or maybe a week, or even if depending on what type of job you have, you maybe even have a couple, 2 or 3 weeks off, or maybe school, whatever the case is. So you get a DVD set of a season that you've been hearing people rave about for the last 6 months. Then you pop it in and see what it's about. And, if you're hooked after the 1 or 2 episodes, hey, great. You got 13, 20, 25, whatever. You got a whole lot more you can just plow through. So I don't think it's so much of laziness. I just think it's more about convenience.
Yeah, I mean, for me, granted, if I am feeling lazy, it's great to have a whole season of a TV show or a series of movies I want to watch. But a lot of times it kind of sneaks up on me where I watch one show and then I'm like, all right, I got a little time. I'll watch the next. And then I get so sucked into it that, the season is done. Especially if you're watching a shorter season show like Game of Thrones or something, it can go by in a day easily. So to me, it's not a lazy thing, but there are particular times when the wife and I'll say, all right, this is a movie weekend. But usually we reserve that for when there's just the weekends where there's nothing else to do.
Yeah, I think it's less about being lazy as well. It's more about not centering my time around watching a show when it happens to air. Number one, I can't stand watching commercials, and I just want to watch it on my own time. I don't want to be told when to watch a show that I want to see.
I do what I want.
Right. And sometimes it's more about getting caught up on something than just putting it off till later. I just, I'll binge it on a weekend or something. Once football is over, it'll make things a lot easier on Sundays too. But I'm upgrading to DVR this week finally, so I think that'll help because the on-demand stuff just requires too much commitment because they always fall off. Episodes fall off, and if you miss one, you're screwed, and you might as well not even bother. So, but yeah.
Well, what's the show that got you the most? I mean, that one, it just you just threw it in. You want to see what it show's like. Somebody was talking about it, like Brian said, and the next thing you know, you've knocked down a season or 2 or whatever.
For me, that one's easy. Buffy. Never watched a Joss Whedon show ever, and because I had no interest in watching a show about a girl vampire killer, but I watched Firefly. Was so amazed by it, I thought, you know what? If this is that good, I have to give Joss Whedon a try. So I just went out. Luckily, the first season of Buffy was a mid-season replacement, so it was only like 12 episodes or something. Cheap. Went out, bought it, put in the first episode. Next thing I know, I am watching it obsessively, 4 or 5 episodes a night. I go out the next day, buy the second season, then the third season. It was almost like crack. I could not watch that show fast enough. And luckily, by the time I got done with it, was just about when the show was ending. So I didn't have to do too much waiting around for the last season's awesome show.
Yeah, well, that one got me hooked too.
For me, it was the first season of Lost. And yes, I brought up Lost.
Again, I am winning.
Someone just loaned me a copy of the first season and said, you should watch the show. It's really, really good. And by this time, the show was only in its second, maybe third. I'm pretty sure it was only second season. So I was brand new to it and started watching it. And I would have to be on vacation that week. Me and my wife watched the entire season in 1 week, which for the two of us to sit down and watch the entire season in that length of time is pretty impressive. I can get my wife to sit still.
Yeah, she doesn't sit that long. She still hasn't finished Prison Break.
Yes, I know.
Show, I don't know if you heard, but it went off the air about 5 years ago.
I know.
And the dude died.
Yeah. Yeah, she doesn't sit still and watch anything on TV for that long unless she's on a laptop.
She got obsessed with that one, right?
With Lost? Yeah. We watched it straight through. I was so into it. I said, nope, we're watching another one. Not we had anything else going on that week. So,
mine's Battlestar Galactica. I actually had zero interest in the show. I had a friend that, my friend Justin, not this Justin, but the other Justin, who,
The not as good Justin?
Mm-hmm.
What, there's only 2 Justins in the world?
There's a couple of them.
Our Justin and then the other Justin?
Yeah, he had loaned it to me forever ago, like the DVDs of the miniseries or something. And I just said, yeah, I'm not going to watch that. Because I really didn't, I didn't really care about the original series much either. And so then my buddy Rob, kept trying to tell me, he's like, you're going to love it. You're going to love it. I'm like, I'm not going to love it. This thing's going to suck. He said, just try it. So I finally put it in his Christmas break or something like that. And I threw it in, and I couldn't stop watching it until
Once again, you were wrong.
I was wrong. I couldn't stop until I hit the end of it. I could not stop. Every time I tried to stop watching this stupid show, the end of the episode would make me want to watch the next episode.
Yeah, I remember that because you were texting me every episode. You're like, dude, this and that. Blah.
Yeah, it was fantastic, and I tried to give it up a couple times because I knew it was becoming.
I can quit when I want to.
Yeah, it was becoming dangerous, and I wish I could say Breaking Bad was the same, but my wife was making me watch that one. Where I could have taken a break from that and came back to it at any time. I couldn't take a break from Battlestar Galactica for whatever reason. I could not take a break. And it's one of those shows, if I watch it, if I put the first episode in, it almost feels like I have to watch the whole series. Or at least the whole series. I'm weird that way. Brian?
24. Mm-hmm. The first season I knew, at the time I was working offshore, so I would spend time out on the boat and that kind of stuff. And when I come back, I'd hear little rumors of of how good the season is and how intense it is, blah, blah, blah. So when it came out on DVD, I bought it, just said, I'll buy it. I'll take it on the boat and I'll watch it when I'm out there, and was instantly hooked. And it caused basically my pattern of watching 24, pretty much set in motion that pattern of just waiting till it came out on DVD and just plowing straight through every episode.
That's a long day of Jack saying, no, do what I said.
Damn it.
So, 24. And still hard to find any season that's probably just compelled me that much to watch, just to keep barreling through as much as I can.
Now, confession time. I want to know what's the longest lazy stretch you guys have had in terms of I spent X number of hours or days or weeks or whatever it was watching only this one show or film series. Scotty?
Breaking Bad. I got into that one when it was already in its third or fourth season. I think I finished that in 2 or 3 weeks.
Really? That's pretty quick for you.
For me, that's pretty quick, yeah. I came home from work every day, and that's pretty much what I did. Had my iPad and watched it.
While you played video games?
No, I didn't even touch video games.
No, see, that's when you know Scott's committed.
Yep.
When he's putting the controller down to watch it.
I don't have the iPad on the side with the game on the TV in front of me. No, that's all I did. It was setting... yeah.
Well, I think it was about 2 years ago. My wife and I had 2 weeks off from work for the holidays, and there was nothing but snow. Maybe it was like 2 or 3 years ago, whatever it was. And she had never seen 24, so I'm like, well, I'll put in the first season, because I watched them as they aired, and I had all the DVDs, but I didn't watch them all like that. And we barreled through all 7 seasons in about a month.
Wow.
Month and a half, something like that. Yeah, it was just, and that's all we watched. Seriously, and if I tried to watch something else, she wouldn't hear of it. She wouldn't hear about it. I wouldn't watch Jack Bauer, damn it, and she, to this day, if you see Kiefer Sutherland, no matter what it's in, she can watch Lost Boys, 20 years ago, and he does not look the same. And she'll be like, Jack Bauer, that's just his name now. He's Jack Bauer in whatever he does. I'm like, Jack Bauer's not a vampire, dear. But she doesn't believe me. So. Brian?
It's got to be 24 again. And just, it's not even so much the only time that the first time that I watched the series, the first season, but it was so big that I ended up watching this like 4 or 5 times at least, just because there was always somebody else who didn't see it. And then once they, and it was funny to watch, I would watch it just so I could watch them. And if they were not hooked in that first disc, which had, I think, 3 or 4 episodes on it, then I knew they weren't going to like it. But I never met anybody who wasn't. And so it was just, and of course, you start watching it, you just get sucked in, and you just kind of keep watching it with them. Mm-hmm. And I mean, it was, like I said, I watched it on the boat. I watched it, I know 3 times. Work would stop. It was hilarious. We would do 12-hour shifts and spend, where we would supposed to be doing work or whatever happened to be. We'd be maybe steaming out towards someplace, and we got a long trip, bam, throw in 24 and just plow right through it. So watched it with my mom, and basically it became our little ritual where she would tell me, hey, 24 is coming out next week. You want to get it? I said, yeah, I'll get it. And as soon as I'm done with it, I'll give it to you. And that was kind of like our little thing.
What? Never mind. Sorry, Justin.
Usually for my big marathon, or I call them Iron Man movie watching sessions, I do like to do movies rather than TV shows. I'm not quite sure why, but for me, when I think about just sitting on my ass all day to watch a TV, I think films. And I know there was one weekend where on a Saturday I watched all 3 of the extended edition Lord of the Rings back to back to back. And there you're talking about 12 hours, give or take. And then of course, pausing every once in a while to go get another Totino pizza or pop some more popcorn, and then followed up the next day with all 6 Star Wars films. Sometimes all 3 Matrix films with the Pirates of the Caribbean trilogy. I like to do that too on occasion, but normally it's Star Wars and Lord of the Rings that if I'm going to marathon, those are, I love getting lost in those worlds.
Director's cuts?
Of the Lord of the Rings? Oh yeah, extended, bitch, please.
Yeah.
I ain't playing that short shit.
No.
I want it as long. Well, God, that's what she said.
Don't need a Cliff Notes version.
No, I want the full deal.
The 3-hour Cliff Notes version.
Right.
Yeah.
All right. Well,
the 4-hour full length.
I love
I'd
Star
be happy
Wars.
if they came out with an extended with songs.
Holy crap. Our listeners might have some time over the holidays, so let's finish this topic up. What are your favorites to recommend for a binge watch? Those shows that just demand a commitment, and are they worth it? Only pick ones that you would actually recommend somebody. Hey, you got time? Sit down, watch these.
Well, my first go-to, and it's one, if you're listening to this podcast, chances are you probably have seen it, but just in case you haven't, Game of Thrones.
Yep. It's on my list.
Cannot recommend it more than just about anything else, especially as far as TV shows goes. There is so much going on in that, like I said, I've said it 100 times. The first season, I bet you I've watched 5 or 6 times at least. And every time I watch it, I still pick up some little detail. And especially after seeing the next couple of seasons, little things that you pick up. It may mention a character that you don't even see in the show, or maybe you see a character that doesn't even pop up until the 3rd season. That kind of stuff. And it's so deep. It's so involved. There's so many different facets to it. It is just absolutely phenomenal. And Game of Thrones really is Breaking Bad, of course, but everybody's pretty much seen that at this point. Orange is the new, just for something a little bit more random, Orange is the New Black on Netflix.
Yep, I watched that one pretty quick.
That one's it's not too bad. It's, I don't know, what, 12, 13 episodes?
Mm-hmm. Just don't dress up as Crazy Eyes in Halloween.
Yeah, that's a little bit bad PR stuff. And actually, I just finished the first season of Arrow. It's pretty good, even for a CW show.
I like how even for a CW show, still pretty good.
Look, it's a CW show. Everybody's stunningly beautiful. Everybody's rich. And it's all soft, dim lights in every fucking building they go in.
That's a good point, man.
It's like they have a farm of hot people. They just pluck them out and put them in a show.
I've actually had that recommended to me.
Hang on, can you explain to me why he wears paint over his eyes and not just the mask?
Masks are so 50s.
Yeah.
Because wouldn't it be easier to ditch the mask than try to wipe all the mascara off his eyes?
You know all the guys wear mascara these days. Just blame it on that.
He's metrosexual.
That's right.
In case he's being all arrow up at a rave club, but outside of that, I don't really see where it's pertinent.
He keeps a wet wipe around so he can...
Oliver Queen did not counsel me on the aesthetics of hero costumes and all this other...
I thought maybe they explained it in the show or something, because it's just something that never made sense.
I tell you what, why don't you binge watch it, and you let me know if you pick up on it.
Touche, man. Scott, what was your question?
Oh, I get fucking missed?
No, he had a question for Brian.
Oh, no, I was going to mention Arrow. I've actually had that show recommended to me 2 times this past week by different people, so that sounds like something that I need to check out.
Yeah, but you just listen to me.
All right, Justin.
Game of Thrones is a great call. I think Lost is a show that benefits from watching it in a quick succession. Babylon. I'm not Babylon 5, even though it's a great show. Battlestar Galactica is a good one, though. That show and Breaking Bad are both two very dark shows. And if you're not a fan of that really kind of serious drama, maybe binge watching, it's not the smartest thing to do. But I would add Supernatural to the mix. It's a fun show. It alternates really well the dark shows and then the more comedic episodes. So you're never quite getting too much of any one particular vibe for too long. And I think Supernatural is a fantastic show.
Scotty?
I had Breaking Bad and Game of Thrones on mine as well, but I will add to the mix Newsroom, which is another HBO show that I like a lot. I watched that whole first season almost front to back in probably about a week myself, and it was
fantastic show.
It's so good, and it's one that it's a show that does not leave you on cliffhangers at the end of each episode as much, but it still makes me. I still want to go see the next one, and it's also one of those shows that has the intro thing at the beginning that plays the song that for whatever reason I never got tired of. That song that they play at the beginning of Newsroom just makes me feel happy, and I don't know what to describe it.
There is a certain nostalgic feel about it. That is, I do the same thing. There's not many intro shows that I will watch. That I'll fast forward through it. But this one I listen to the music. It is really good intro music. And
the second season they kind of remixed it a little bit, which was kind of cool. It was the same song but just done a little bit differently, which I thought was perfect.
I really want to binge watch that second season too.
That's really good.
It definitely leans. It's very hard left leaning show, but still, if you can kind of
you can swallow that.
Yeah.
Plus, the series it's nice. The series with the second season ends very satisfying.
Oh yeah.
So,
Justified. I love Justified. I wish more people would watch Justified because that is a show.
Thank God it's coming back.
I know, right? Game of Thrones is the only other TV show I buy on Blu-ray because Blu-ray, for whatever reason, is too expensive. And Justified, I just love that show, and it's one of the few I will go back and watch, and I want that shit in Blu-ray. So that and Game of Thrones. So I got all of them. I love that show. Psych is another one because you can put it in any episode, and it's going to make me laugh. I've got most of them memorized at this point, but outside of that, 24 is the easy go-to. I still, to this day, watch 24. I can put in a random season, and that's, I guess, why I like that show is because you can just pick a season, any season but 6, because I just didn't like that season. And just put it in, finish that out, and you're done. You don't have to worry about watching the whole series. Like Breaking Bad or Battlestar, right. You got to start at the beginning, you got to go to the end. And there's really not one season you can just pick out and watch. So that's why I kind of like that one. Those are mine.
Well, and this interesting thing is almost every show we've talked about, they're all serial shows. None of these are episodics. And I think that helps make that binge watching go down even better. It's because it's a single narrative constantly moving forward and not just one-offs every time.
And they all do really just do a fantastic job of whatever the story is through every single episode. But they all start with a strong hook, and then they all finish with a good, I don't want to say necessarily cliffhanger, but something that just says, oh, I got to see how this pans out. Especially 24. 24 was just genius at it.
I'm surprised nobody mentioned Lost or Walking Dead.
I mentioned Lost.
Yeah, Justin did.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
I mentioned Lost, too.
Welcome to the podcast.
Thanks for listening.
Well, I mean,
have a good day.
Just in this last part, I didn't hear you mention that. All right. Well, whatever.
I don't know. Walking Dead is one that I just kind of I've lost interest in. I don't know why. I got to get caught up, but
maybe if you binge watched it. All right, some of our listeners.
Did you know the governor's British?
Yeah, I knew that.
I had no idea until I saw him in some Doctor Who stuff because he was in an episode. I was like, oh my God, is every fucking actor on this show British?
You know what else he is?
Herschel's daughter?
Yeah.
I think, and Andrew Lincoln, he's Australian.
Mm-hmm.
Jesus.
They don't hire Americans for American roles anymore.
Over here taking our jobs.
The governor's also Liam Neeson's doppelganger. Paul Lascelle, these are some of our listener picks. Paul Lascelle, I love the old movies, White Christmas, Holiday Inn. I also watched Jack Frost with Michael Keaton, not the cartoon one. Stephen White, Lord of the Rings, Die Hard 1 and 2, and Scrooged. These are their binge-watching choices. Sean McGuire, I recommend people get caught up on Arrow. It's a great show with a lot of tie-ins to various comic book heroes. Best experience was watching all of The Sopranos in a few days. Man, that is a lot of hate.
How many episodes? Or how many seasons of that was there?
It's like 6, I think.
6.
Wow.
Yeah.
And
They're all about 10 episodes or so.
And they're not happy ever in that fucking show. Angela Lee, Battlestar Galactica, Doctor Who, and Veronica Mars. Yeah, there you go. Get ready for the movie. David McGrath, I recommend a BBC Anything British Christmas. Jeremy Brett's 80s to 90s Sherlock Holmes. Good pick, man. To get you geared up for Benny and Marty's return next month. Some Whitechapel and Ripper Street for some more detectively chills and thrills. A bit of QI for the scholarly folks who also enjoy a good laugh. And a sprinkling of Doctor Who Christmas specials to get you in the festive mood. Greg Swagger, I'm binging Avatar The Last Airbender now, and wow, is it amazing. Orange is the New Black was probably the biggest surprise binge watch I've had. I would agree. I'm really surprised how many people love that show.
Mm-hmm.
And Netflix delivers it perfect for binge watching.
Mm-hmm. Doug Clayton, Lord of the Rings director's cut. Apparently he likes to sit on his ass too. All 12 hours worth. My wife and I always watch Love Actually, Godfather 1 and 2, Downton Abbey. I've heard that's a great show. I've never actually seen it. Anybody here actually seen that show?
Mm-mm.
I need to.
No, but everybody I've talked to and heard that has watched it loves it. So there must be something to it.
All the different Blade Runner versions, Tony Scott movies. That's random. Tony Scott movies. So, all right. Game of Thrones, Sex and the City, and Harry Potter.
There's a combination.
That is quite the combination, Gene Morton. So, but thank you. Wow. That would actually be kind of interesting to watch Sex and the City and then Game of Thrones.
That would be a fantastic psychological experiment.
I agree. All right, now, make a hoe see it. Last week we challenged Justin to watch Fletch, that comedy classic starring Chevy Chase, as investigative reporter Erwin Fletcher. What'd you think?
Comedy classic?
Yeah, it's a comedy classic.
Are you sure?
I'm positive.
Absolutely.
You know, it was fine. It's one of those films, though, that I think if you didn't see it maybe in its time, there's some charm lost. Because I'll tell you, that synth soundtrack that plays through that movie is fucking god awful.
Harold Faltermeyer?
It is terrible. And so, you know, every scene, it pops up with that. It almost ruins the film for me. It's so bad. But Chevy Chase is very likable. You know, all the characters he played, you know, they were funny. It was, to me, a huge stretch to believe that he would be called to investigate this guy while he's also investigating this other thing. And, oh, look, they're both connected. But that said, it was an okay film. I certainly didn't hate the experience of watching it. I am coming to it. It came out in 85. So
30 years ago, yeah.
Yeah, I think I'm coming to it about 30 years too late for it to be in my pantheon of comedy films. But that said, after watching it, I'm even more convinced that I would love to have seen Jason Lee and Kevin Smith take a whack at redoing it, because they had talked about it for a while.
I think it would.
And I think Jason Lee would be a natural as Fletch.
Moon River.
He puts that pretty good fist up his ass.
Yeah, using the whole fist duck. Oh, I'm sorry. I absolutely love that movie.
Oh, I got nothing really bad to say about it other than that soundtrack, which was terrible. So bad.
And at the time, it was riveting.
Oh, I'm sure. I mean, the whole time I'm thinking, you know, Beverly Hills Cop.
Same guy.
And all those other movies, who do that shitty synth soundtrack, because apparently that was cooler back then after the synth was created, as opposed to those terrible orchestral instruments. Oh, God, yes.
Yep.
It was fine. For what it was, I enjoyed it. There were some really funny performances.
And remember, those that like us on Facebook, we'll mention you on the next show. Facebook.com/The Hollywood Outsider. This past week, Jason Taylor, Ryan Bidigari or Bidigare, I'm not sure. Bidigare? One of those has got to be right.
Bidigari?
Ryan Kingsbury. So I hope I got one of your pronunciations correct. Justin, you got an email that just came in right before the show.
Comes in from Go, whom we also call J-Rock NYC. Apparently, he sent us an email from the future, and somehow some things got redacted out of it. I'm going to assume this information was lost to the time streams, but he says, hello from 2018. Hi, I'm writing from 5 years into your future. There's no more comic book movies now. Everyone got so inundated they stopped caring. The novelty wore off, and there was a big nerd geek backlash after redacted. Plus, Chinese Asian cinema is really taking over. The first Avengers movie was the peak. The second one did half as much, but still okay. But the Thor 3, Ant-Man 2, Budapest ones did awful. No one even remembers the Marvel TV shows. And after Joss Whedon's accident on the first day on set last year, there's talk of not releasing the third Avengers out of respect. They killed Batman and Superman. I don't even want to say how. Spider-Man's still around, but they made him a girl who marries Wolverine. Oh, they're making an X-Men stage play in honor of redacted. Anyway, I think I'm timing this right to comment on your Facebook. Sell your shares of Facebook soon, by the way. Best binge TV experience, and for me, it was rewatching the first 4 seasons of The West Wing on DVD in 2002, watching like 9 or 10 per day over the holidays, and doing it again on Blu-ray in 2010. I'm in the middle of doing the 4K versions on Hulu Double Plus this Xmas weekend, which is reminding me to write you guys.
All right. And Brian, you got some quick breaking news. You want to mention it real quick before we finish up?
Yeah, sure. Apparently, Joaquin Phoenix is in talks to, potentially play the villain in the Batman/Superman movie. So rumor is, suggestions are that it could be Lex Luthor. So there is that possibility. Of course, we'll know more down the road.
Mm-hmm. And that's Variety, so it's not like we pulled it out of the Inquirer.
Right. It's not like it's our sources. Variety is also saying that...
which would be the Inquirer.
And also Hugh Jackman is in talks to play Blackbeard in the upcoming Pan movie.
I think that sounds really cool.
Yeah. And Pan as in Peter Pan, just for the record.
Appreciate it. And also, Sean McDonald wanted to say, keep up the great work on the show. All the best. I just appreciate those little sentiments. And Doug Clayton, same thing. Thanks, you guys, for sending that in. That really makes us enjoy doing the show when we get nice little kudos. And it's the end of the year, so send us more. So we can come back to the year. We'll have 45,000. Keep up the good work. You did a good job. Because really, our egos need stroking.
And our mothers never said it enough.
Exactly. Nobody loves me. TheHollywoodOutsider.com is a website. Twitter, H_outsider. Facebook.com/TheHollywoodOutsider. You can leave a message or text us at 818-814-6426. Email as feedback@TheHollywoodOutsider.com. You can listen and subscribe for free on iTunes, listen on your Stitcher Radio app, or through our RSS feed. And I want to remind you that the comic book movie episode is already up, so you have to just go into your either Stitcher app or wherever you download, and you can grab it there. As well as our recent episodes are also there too. So go grab one of those, and then you can listen to us even more over the holidays. What more is there to do that's interesting than listen to The Hollywood Outsider over the holidays? See family? Fuck that. So
I'll only disappoint you.
Yeah, binge listen.
Yeah, there you go.
Watching. 2.5 years of podcast.
And share it on Facebook. Tell your friends. That's how we grow. We'd appreciate it. That's our Christmas present. We want you to share us on Facebook. And also go to the website and look at Scott's Child's Play information. He really does. That is very sweet. He actually pays a lot of money out of his own pocket just because he likes kids or something.
In a completely appropriate way.
Yeah, exactly. He, normally I'm trying a different approach, but he's doing it the proper way, and it seems to be working for him. So we're happy. We're very proud of Scott's attempts.
Yeah, we give Scott a lot of shit, but this is the best thing that he does. So please support him in this gesture.
All right, and that's going to do it for this episode of The Hollywood Outsider. Come back next week. You're going to hear the Best of Awards, the 3rd Annual Ho Awards. And thanks to Justin, Brian, and Scotty. Thanks, guys.
Happy Festivus.
Chris McQuanahanza.
Merry Christmas. Happy Holiday. Happy Kwanzaa. Happy, what's the other one? Hanukkah. Is there any other one?
What's the other one?
What's the?
Well, they got like 10 days,
Yeah.
so really they already passed.
What's
I don't
that Jew thing?
know when that started. I don't know when it started. So happy whatever frickin' holiday you celebrate or don't celebrate. Merry holiday time. The
Oh my
time
God,
you
Mr. PC, would you just shut up already?
fuck off. Merry Christmas. The next time you go to a theater, buy popcorn.
And Jew Bears.
Oh, I haven't had a Jew Bear forever.
You said fuck off, Merry Christmas. There's something.
Nobody ever said loving me was easy.
Ain't that the fucking understatement of the
I'm
year?
telling you, bro.
Hey, man, if loving you's wrong, I don't want to be right.
Oh, thank you.
Brian's so full of shit.
I know. I'll just do this while you guys talk.
Thanks.
Mm-hmm.
Don't worry, it's not participation or anything. Are you cold? No. Are you getting
Why, is your nipples hard?
Yes. Bitches ready?
Yep.
Okay. Brian, are you ready?
Si, senor.
It's the worst Mexican I've ever heard anyone ever even.
Mexicans have a southern drawl.
Que pasa, y'all?